Hello and welcome to Art Supply Thursdays. Today I am reviewing the very popular Lamy Safari with the three nibs that I have for it. I have a broad nib, a 1.1 millimeter stub, and a 1.5 millimeter stub. For those of you who don't know, a stub nib has a flat profile and writes thin horizontally and broad vertically due to the shape of the nib. Allow me to demonstrate with my wallet here. So here's just a standard, here's just a big pen here. Normally a nib, if you were to magnify it, would look like this at the tip, and so every direction you write, the thickness is the same. But a stub nib looks more like my wallet here. If you were to magnify the shape of the nib, it's wide here, narrow this way. So when you write this way, you see the ink would cover this whole area. As you do a downstroke and a stroke to the left and right, you would just end up with a thin line. And so if you keep it in the same direction and you write in cursive, or you can write in Gothic, and so it has a lot of its own special qualities like that. I purchased this pen a few years ago at Akkerman in The Hague in the Netherlands, and I really wish I had known more about the shop at the time. It wasn't until later that I realized that it's one of the most significant fountain pen shops in the world, and I had simply bought a Lamy Safari at this really amazing pen shop, so it was kind of funny to look back on that. I don't remember the exact cost, but Lamy Safaris, they run about $27 US. The one I got came with a broad nib, and the stub nibs I bought separately. So as you can see, this Lamy Safari, it has a really unique style to it, and it's kind of polarizing. Some people love it, some people hate it. I didn't really like it at first. I just bought it because I didn't have one, and I've heard of them for a long time, so I thought I ought to get one. It's grown on me. I think I like the design all right now. I think it looks good posted. The great thing about these, one of the great things is that they come in many colors. So you can match the color to your planner, to your clothes. Even if I were to be wearing a nice shirt with a yellow tie, I could have this next to it, and that would look kind of sharp. The Lamy Safari is plastic, but a metal version is also available. It's called the Lamy All-Star. It's basically the same pen, just metal, and I think it might be very slightly larger. But it's the same pen, basically, but metal. A clear plastic version is also available. It's called the Lamy Vista, but it's just clear plastic. The clip on this pen is what really stands out, and it's one of the best clips on a pen, period, in my opinion. It's not even spring-loaded. It's just, tension fit, or whatever you'd call it. Very paperclip-like in design. But it allows it to stay very secure on a jeans pocket or shirt pocket, notebook. Even very large thicknesses can be accommodated with this clip. Some planners have a big leather strip for a clip, and sometimes that's not practical. For most pens, this could easily slide right on that. I'll go right from the best thing about this pen to the worst thing. The pen does not have a screw cap. It has a snap cap. And that would still be okay, but the cap snaps rather loosely. It's very, very minimal to hear that snap. And it's not just this particular pen either. I had another Lamy Safari that I gave away at one point, and it also had a very loose snapping mechanism. And I tried an All-Star once, same deal. So this isn't a problem for some people, because some people don't carry their pens like I do. When I usually carry pens, I have in my pocket, just like so. Hold on. Yeah, I already have a couple right there. Use the G2 if you don't need that. I'll carry them like this, right in that little small pen bucket. And so I've had it come loose, and which can dry out the nib because the air gets up in there. And one time I had it actually shake loose and kind of come out in my pants when I was walking around or riding a bicycle or whatever that I was doing. And the nib touched my pants, and the ink got all over my pants because it just bled out into the absorbent fabric. It's a disaster. So I don't carry these anymore, except in a bag. So that's something to think about if you carry pens that way. The three Lamy models that I mentioned, the Safari here, also the All-Star, and the Vista, they all use the same nibs. And I think there's a Lamy Studio uses the same nib, and there might be another one or two. Or there's one that's like made for children, like a wooden-looking one. They have interchangeable nibs. So if you buy this one with the broad and another one with the fine, you can just switch the nibs, or you can simply buy nibs individually, buy replacement nibs, and have one pen and switch the nibs out as you would like. So this is a cartridge converter pen, and it uses Lamy's own brand of them. I'm using a converter filled with Pelican Brilliant Brown here, and but I don't have any Lamy cartridges. But so here's the Brilliant Brown that I'm using. I don't have any Lamy cartridges, but I have this pilot cartridge that I can use to demonstrate how the cartridges work in a Lamy. So you don't need to fit it in and push it in and hope it's secure on the post there, and you just drop it into the barrel, and then if this were off, you'd take it and screw it in, and it would break the seal itself, because the cartridge for Lamy is the correct size, that it fits exactly in here and snugly, so you don't have to push that in yourself. Another neat thing about the cartridges that Lamy makes is they're tapered on like the last 1/4 or 1/3 of the cartridge is tapered. So when the ink goes down in them, there's still a little bit of ink left here. So you can start to, so after you're writing for a long time, if you run out of ink, then you can just shake it a little more and see, oh, I have enough to finish this page or finish the couple pages, and then I can replace the cartridge. So that's kind of nice that you don't just run out of ink and then have no other options. You can, it's a little like early warning system. So it's kind of neat that their cartridges are designed in that manner. It has a large ink window on it you can hold up to the light to see how much ink is in it, because it has the ink window on both sides, so you could put it up to a bright light and easily see the ink level. An additional polarizing feature of the Lamy Safari is the triangular grip that it has. You can see that there. I prefer a simple round grip, just a simply straight round barrel. But this doesn't bother me. Even though I write left-handed and I don't use the grip like this, I'm kind of write with a hook hand, it doesn't cause me any problems. It's a rather light pen, being that it's mostly plastic, although it's not crazy light. It's not as light as some other pens. It posts very securely. It's just friction fitted. It doesn't snap or anything, but when it's on there, it's on there nice and snug. It doesn't come loose, and as I said, I think it looks actually quite nice when it's posted. Now let's go on to how the Safari writes. I'll start with the broad nib. The Safari has been one of the most popular fountain pens for a long time. It has little to no flex, but maintains its popular status, and one of the reasons is its reliability and ease of use. Because of that easy-to-change cartridge, the consistency and ability to interchange nibs, you can see your ink level very easily. You can have a number of Lamy pens to match whatever you have. You can collect them all like that. It's easy to get addicted to them if you do like them. It's definitely a workhorse pen, meaning that it's made to write and function well every time, and it does. So it's perfect for the office, for students, for having in a planner, etc. So now let's look at the stub nibs and see how they write. The 1.5 millimeter is what I usually have on there, and I use it for calligraphy and when writing letters. Lamy does offer an even wider 1.9 millimeter stub nib, which I wish that I had that. But I do find this 1.5 to be a good size for dramatic yet still practical Gothic style lettering. Being left-handed, I write a little unorthodox, but this way allows me to write this style of font. Here's the broad and here's the broad nib and the 1.5 millimeter stub next to it. You will see the thick and thin variation on the stub. It creates a ribbon effect when using it. Stub nibs are not as forgiving as round nibs, meaning you must keep the pen positioned on that exact angle, keep that nib nice and flat, connected to the paper in order for it to write properly. But once you get used to it, some people love stub nibs, and they always get stub nibs. They swear by them because of how unique the writing is. The 1.1 millimeter is the most common stub nib size from most brands. So with a 1.1, you can still fit words on a lined sheet of paper, and so it's great for adding style to long letters. Cursive writing looks particularly good with a 1.1. Downstrokes and cross strokes, they have a good variation, even though it's smaller than the 1.5, but it will immediately stand out compared to another pen, which could be mistaken for a gel pen's writing at first glance. One thing to know if you're interested in a Lamy Safari is to look at the top of the cap before you buy it. There will be, in black, if you can see, there will be this cross right there. And, if it has a single line, it's just a roller ball. And so make sure you get the cross if you want the fountain pen version of the Safari. That's how it looks. And that's the Lamy Safari. Thank you for watching.